of all, when it started off, we already got a whining Jeffrey deciding she needs extra favors. I tell you, I really couldn't be friends with Jeffrey. Jeffrey's the type of person where she's a victim all the time. She always needs a special favor. She loves playing the damsel in distress. That's one of her lures for men, to play the damsel in distress. I'm all for getting help, getting accommodation, getting things when you need it. But Jeffrey takes things to a whole another level. Like I said, she's fake. And I don't, you know what? Actually, I probably shouldn't even say that Jeffrey is fake. This really is who Jeffrey is. She's just like one walking a big scam. She's just a walking scam. So I really can't say she's fake, because it really is what she does. She's not acting. This is who Jeffrey is. But anyway, when it first came on, this was supposed to be the episode where everybody gets to meet the exes. And of course, we definitely wanted to meet Jeffrey's exes. Everyone wanted to meet Jeffrey's exes. But of course, we got disappointed because Jeffrey did what she knows how to do best. And she tries to put spins on things to make herself look good, make everyone else look bad, and she's the victim. That's why I told you I do not believe her whole story about Blake. I know enough about Blake to know that Blake is an a-hole. Absolutely. Absolutely. But if you think I believe all of Jeffrey's story about how things went down with Blake, I don't know how you can still believe in that. When you see how she moves and shakes, how now she's about to talk about these baby daddies, but she don't want them nowhere around to give their testimony. This is what she does. She likes a one-sided testimony, and when you try to speak up, she shuts you down. This is what she did to Blake. This is what she did to DeMario. This is what she's doing to her exes. She likes to tell her version of the story, and if you ever get an opportunity to tell your version of the story, she wants to shut it down. So she goes to a nephew Tommy and says, oh, well, I just want to let you know that I've always been in serious relationships. So there we go. First of all, what she's trying to do is put a spin on her reputation. What she's trying to do is she's setting up to tell you, I'm not a hoe out here. I don't sleep around a lot. So I want to shape this story so you think that I've only been with two men in my life. I've only been with two men in my life because I'm virtuous. And the two men I've only been with are my two husbands. That's what she's trying to set up. She's trying to set up a scenario where when she first comes out of her mouth, I've always been in serious relationships. Girl, you had some one-night stands, or you have effed some men that you weren't in a relationship with. I don't believe nothing about Jeffrey says. But anyway, let me keep going. So she says, well, you know, my first marriage was of 13 years. And after that marriage ended, he left, and we haven't seen him for 6 years. What? He just left completely? And you haven't even heard from him in 6 years? Okay, Jeffrey, I'm going to roll with it. Let's keep going. And the second one was for 3 years, and then I gifted him his first child. She did two things. One is she tried to wrap up the fact that she's just had a baby with a man. She got pregnant. Most people say, well, I got pregnant. I had a baby. We had a baby. No, Jeffrey puts it and says she gifted him. Gifted? What are you talking about, gifted him a baby? What, you went to Walmart, picked one up, brought it home, and wrapped it up and put a gift receipt in it? Gifted? What are you talking about? What, was you a surrogate, but you didn't get paid? You gifted a couple a baby because they couldn't have one, so you carried the baby for them but didn't get paid? That's a gift. You didn't gift no man a baby when you're the mother of the child. It's not called a gift. And it's a gift, I guess, that he didn't really want because he sure enough walked away from it. And let me tell you something about this. I also don't like how later on she phrases it and says the men walked away from their kids. No, let me tell you. Men do walk away from kids. Inevitably, that's what happens. But a lot of times what the men are walking away from are the women. Okay? Let's be honest. A lot of times they're walking away from the women. And unfortunately, the children become casualties of that. And they end up walking away from the kids too. It's a horrible thing. It's deadbeat dads. It's all sorts of things. Sometimes the dads aren't deadbeat, but they can't deal with the woman. There's a whole lot of scenarios, so I don't want to over classify or try to over simplify it. But I don't like the notion that you a gifted a man, you the hero, you're the virtuous one, you Mother Teresa. You know, she act like she a Mother Mary over here and she a birthed Jesus. I gifted the world of Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh, she loves to put a positive spin on who she is, and there's a negative spin on everyone else. So you mean to tell me you've had 2 significant relationships with, let's go with your story, Jeffrey. So you've only had 2 significant relationships with 2 men because you're virtuous. You don't spread it wide and spread it low and spread it wide. You don't do all that. So you've had 2 serious relationships with 2 men. And the fate of those 2 relationships is they both walked away from you and don't even want to talk to you. So you 0 for 2. You 0 for 2. You would have been better off having other relationships and at least some men that still want to talk to you. And you mean to tell me that these men hate you so much that they don't even want to come around and see their kids? This is not a good story. She's trying to put a good spin on it, but it's no good spin that you can put on it. None. None. There's a whole lot better stories of fathers who are deadbeat. Well, my father, you know, my child's father doesn't pay child support, but he does come around and take care of the kids. There's a lot of other stories where men are falling down on the jobs of being fathers that doesn't entail trying to put so much distance between her and him. This is a lightning red flag. So she says, you know, I really wouldn't want to bring any man around who's not really of a good caliber around in this process. Well, they don't want to come around. If they don't want to come around you, period, for 6 years, and they don't want to come around your children for 6 years, then actually, Jeffrey, it is not even your choice. You don't have anyone to come around. This is like going for a job and saying, do you have any references? And they say, you tell them, no, I don't have no references. I don't have any previous employers, whether I work for them for 2 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years, 4 years, that wants to say I was a good employee. No one. No man that I dated for a month and say, you know what, she's a nice lady, but even though it didn't work out for us, I can vouch for her. No one. You've got 0 references. That's a problem, people. Don't overlook this out in the dating world. Don't overlook it. So Tommy says, you know what, you're going to still need to sit in front of your connections, Blue and Marc Anthony, and you're still going to need to tell them this story so that they understand the story and that they're not going to get to meet some of your exes, so they getting cheated. She goes, that's fine, because I know how to spin a story, and I'll definitely spin a story when I get in front of Marc Anthony and when I get in front of Blue. And that's exactly what she tried to do. But let me tell you, a Blue wasn't buying it. A Blue looked at her and was like, girl, get out of here. I'm not buying this one bit. And Marc Anthony, he's such a sucker for a sob story. I'm done with Marc Anthony, people. Remember, I was rooting for him and Mercedes. I'm not rooting for them anymore. Just let it be known. A Mercedes, pack your bags and get to stepping because he's not worth anything. Because Marc Anthony, he is a sucker for a sad story. Marc Anthony is the type of person, now that I know who he is, he really is attracted to Jeffrie. I don't think he's playing games. But what he's attracted to Jeffrie is her damsel in distress. What he's attracted to Jeffrie is the captain, a save-a-hole. What he's attracted for Jeffrie is that he can be the hero in Jeffrie's life because Jeffrie has a lot of problems in her life. She has a lot of situations where she needs help and is needy. But I'm telling you, behind all this facade of this squeaky baby voice, Jeffrie is bossy. Jeffrie is bossy, and that's what runs people away. This facade that she puts on, this veneer, this layer in front that we're seeing now is what lures you in. But once you're in and she controls you, it's going to be a different story. But that is what Marc Anthony is attracted to. The woman that Marc Anthony really wants isn't Mercedes. Mercedes is a little bit too independent for him. And what Marc Anthony wants is he wants a woman like Jeffrie, who's the real deal. She is needy. She does need to be saved because he likes that position, which is fine. He likes to be the hero in his woman's life, which is fine. But he doesn't want all this baggage that Jeffrie has. He don't want all these 3 kids with 2 missing baby daddies. So is she even gets child support? So he got to come in and pay for 3 kids and be the father figure. And then, I'm going to tell you what else I didn't like about Jeffrey's answer. This is why she can't stay consistent, is when they said, are you happy with the fathers not being in the kid's life? And she said, yeah, I'm happy. Bong. No man wants to hear that. No man wants to hear that they're so dispensable that you're happy that they're gone. She would have been better off giving an answer that, you know what, actually no, because I feel bad for my kids. I wish it could have been a different situation. But the way it came out her mouth, yeah, I'm happy that they're gone, also tells you about the real inside of Jeffrey, because in the end, all Jeffrey cares about is herself. She didn't give one thought to what those kids are like, not having fathers in their life, not having fathers around for 6 years, having been abandoned from kids, having been abandoned from their fathers for their whole life. And when they asked her, are you happy? She said, yeah, I'm happy. How the heck can you be happy with that type of a scenario? How can that bring you happy? She said, yeah, because I'm happy because I'm a woman out here now, not with a lot of baby daddy issues. You may not got baby daddy issues, but you got kid issues, because let me tell you, kids with no fathers, kids whose fathers completely abandoned them, there's going to become some issues with that. You think people can just get up and rebound from that with no types of issues? Once again, she's framing everything in the context of herself, trying to make herself look good. So she's trying to put a spin on the fact that she's a woman with 2 kids, 2 men that don't want to have anything to do with her, don't even want to talk to her, so much so that they abandon all the kids as well. And she's trying to put a positive spin on it and say, well, I'm a woman that's unencumbered. Girl, you over encumbered. What are you talking about? You not an unencumbered woman. You are over encumbered. And I knew the minute when she was about to get rid of Blue, because in the end she put Blue on her bottom. But when she put Blue on her bottom, she put Blue on the bottom when she went to Blue and they were sitting there talking to Blue and Marc Anthony. She says, well, I hope you will forgive me and give me, I don't know what she said, give me grace. So she said something about, oh, I hope you'll forgive me because I'm 100% mommy. And Blue looked at her and said, I don't know that yet. Blue said, I can't promise. And when Blue said, I can't promise, did y'all see the look on Jeffrey's face? It went from this to this. And then next thing we know, she's over here voting him off as one of her bottom. Of all the men on the show, she put Blue on the bottom. I mean, geez, wow, Jeffrey, that was pretty harsh. You couldn't have picked no other man to put on the bottom. She said Blue's on the bottom, because once Blue rejected her, she was done with him. She was done with him. And that's the same thing that I believe happened with Blake. I believe Blake absolutely fell into being attracted to Jeffrey because Blake likes a soft woman in which he could be the leader, in which this woman portrays that she's going to bow down to Blake, and Blake was attracted to that. But once he got in there, Blake, the investigator, the loss prevention, whatever you want to call him, investigator, the one to ask a bunch of questions, he got in there and was asking Jeffrey a bunch of questions and drilling her over her past and her whole situation. Sure, he was being hypocritical. He got 3 baby daddies, but so what? He was throwing it back on her, and she couldn't take those questions because we know behind closed doors, her life is a mess. It's chaotic. She didn't like it. And she and Jeffrey, and then she and Blake were butting heads. And Blake started probably calling her names and calling her out on some of her bullshit. And then that's when she came up the story, well, I'm going to get him first before he gets me. Because let me tell you, when she went into that deliberation room and she threw Blue under the bus that fast, that was another scenario where she said, let me throw Blue under this bus before he comes back and tells people about this date we had. Because I know he didn't buy any of my BS about these 2 baby daddies that have been missing for 6 years. I'm telling you, Jeffrey cuts off the throats of men before they have a chance to get her. When you start peeping out her story, she's ready to off you. Off you. She's something else. She cold-hearted. Let me tell you, Jeffrey is a cold-hearted. Then the next date that Jeffrey had was the date with Jeffrey and Andre. Ugh. Andre is a mess, and we're going to talk about that date over there with Cynthia as well. But Andre is another person that's a mess. He is a mess, and I see why he likes Jeffrey, because he likes his ego stroke. Remember, he was mad at Mercedes because Mercedes wasn't blowing up his phone while he was at home with COVID, supposedly off the show. And so he definitely likes a lot of ego stroking. That's probably why he wears this thing on his head, so people will notice him in a big crowd all the time. But you know what? I don't like Andre. I don't like Andre either. I don't like his attitude. I don't like too much about Andre as well. And let me tell you, this little date between the two of them was hard to watch, y'all. It was hard to watch this scenario go on. So anyway, he decides he's going to cook Jeffrey a home cooked meal, some jerk chicken, some rice. And Jeffrey says, oh, this is restaurant quality. This girl, let me tell you, she's a professional. I keep telling you, she's a professional. But let me tell you, a lot of women, don't be Jeffrey all the way, because I'm telling you, she's borderline psycho. But if you're out here, you could take a few from Jeffrey. Now, the one thing Jeffrey did different than Jonique did when she was at Blue's house was Jeffrey said, oh, this is wonderful. This is a restaurant quality. Jonique was over there telling Blue, your salmon is a 7 and your broccoli is a 3. Big difference, a big difference. I'm telling you, you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. Jonique was serving vinegar and Jeffrey is serving a honey. Let me tell you, in the end, you may not want the fella, but you definitely want to draw them unto you. And what Jeffrey did was saying, this is restaurant quality. That's what every woman needs. This is good and delicious. It don't mean you need to have another meal with them. And then what she does is feed me like a baby. You know, I can't open my mouth that wide. Girl, you know your mouth has been open wider for other things. You know your mouth has been open wider for other things, and talking about you can barely put a fork full in your mouth like you a baby. Dude, you mean to tell me you want him to get a chopstick? Is that what you want? You want him to feed you with some chopsticks? This girl's a mess. I can't even see how any man out in the real world would fall for this. That's why I lost respect for Marc Anthony. If you are falling for this Jeffrey facade, I'm telling you, I lose a lot of respect for you. I really lose a lot of respect because I'm like, this is such a facade. This is a mess. She's like, oh, that's still too big of a bite. It needs to be smaller. I'm so dainty. I'm so pristine. All this is the image, people. This is the whole image. I'm pristine. I'm dainty. I can barely open up my mouth. I'm a baby. I need you to take care of me. I need you to protect, provide, and lead. Woo! This is something else. When I look at you, I just see a strong, a powerful man, and he is over there eating it up. He is eating up the words. He is eating it up. She's like, when I look at you, I already trust you. You're just so trustworthy. It just oozes from you. And then he pulls her closer and he tries to kiss her. And at first, she don't even want to open her mouth. Remember, she don't want to open up her mouth too wide. She barely can get a rice in it. Rice. And the next thing you know, they all kissing and all the lipstick is all over Andre's mouth, looking like, Boo Boo the Clown. People, I was rolling and laughing at this scene. I don't know. I guess it was supposed to be romantic and sweet and endearing, and it wasn't. It was funny as heck to me. It was funny as heck because I was like, Jeffrey can act her butt off. I don't know what she do for a living. She's an executive assistant. No, she needs to become a full-time paid actress. Full-time paid actress. Jeffrey absolutely needs to get a man, and she needs to sign up for a reality TV show because she would be good for a reality TV show because there would be a lot of people who would tune in just to not like her. I would tune in every single week to watch Jeffrey just not to like her and laugh at all the people who fall for her traps and her antics. I'd be cracking up. And she caps it off and said, let's make a toast to one of the most amazing men in town, in Miami, in the world. Let's make a toast to him. Woo! What a couple of dates from Miss Jeffrey. She delivered on some comedy for the day.